My name is Fiona Fletcher-Smith and I'm L&Q's Group Chief Executive, and I'm going to introduce proceedings today. There's been an awful lot going on, particularly over the last 2.5 years. You'll be aware we launched a new strategy, a new business plan in April 2021, and what that did was really signal a change of direction for us and more of a focus on existing homes, working with you as residents to improve our services. A big part of that is about safety. It's about making sure that you are safe in your home, dealing with fire safety issues, dealing with investment in your homes. And I'm delighted to say, and you'll hear more from David later this evening, we're on site. The investment programme that we've been talking about is now up and running, and I'm delighted to see that people are getting new roofs, new doors, new windows, new kitchens, new bathrooms. It's fabulous to see that finally happening. There's a lot more happening too. We are constantly improving how we deal with your complaints. We are trying to make sure that our services are constantly improving, so that every time you contact us, that is a seamless call, that you get what you need quickly and on time. Now, it doesn't always work as it should, and you'll be aware in the last year we've dealt with some really horrible cases that the Ombudsman has highlighted. And over the summer, the top team and I have been ringing residents and talking to them face to face about what they found in trying to deal with us. And that's really helping us to understand how we need to improve the services. A big part of that is around IT systems, and we're well underway in bringing in a new system for how we deal with housing and how we deal with our finances, which is going to make your life easier in trying to get things done, and it's going to make it easier for our colleagues here at L&Q to be able to help you. Finally, before I hand over to Aubrey, I just want to say a little bit about the last year in particular. It's been incredibly hard in so many ways. Financially, inflation has hit everybody. The cost of living crisis has been constantly on our minds, whether we're trying to support people who need help financially or whether we're trying to pay the bills. Interest rates have been much higher than they have been in many years, and that alone has cost us 150 to 200 million extra this year. You'll hear more from Waqar on this later this evening. Inflation in some parts of repairs and maintenance has been running at about 25%. So even though the ordinary level of inflation, what we pay when we go shopping, has sort of peaked just over 11 and 12%, some bits of what the work we do really been really hard hit. But that said, I'll finish on an optimistic note. I am feeling very optimistic. I think we've got a great plan. I think Residents Services Board particularly, and through Group Board, I really feel that we are being held to account. And I hope this evening is about how you help to hold us to account on what we're doing, or how we're delivering, and that we continue to improve. I'm not saying that we are in any way close to where we need to be, but we're certainly making progress. And as residents, you're going to be a really key part of that.
Good evening to everyone. Really good to have everyone online. As Fiona said, it would be much nicer if we could all meet in person, but unfortunately that's just not practical. I'm Aubrey. I'm the chair of the board. I've been chair for just over 8 years. I joined the board, as I think probably everyone, as I know everyone on the board, because we really want to try and do something about the housing crisis. I personally feel it's probably the biggest issue facing all of us, and it has all sorts of knock-on effects into other things, whether it's health, education, whatever. It's absolutely essential we try and do something, and I think by far the best medium to do that is through housing associations, and that's why I'm here. As you know, we are L&Q is a charity. It's a not-for-profit, but we do try to we have to generate a surplus in order to pay things like interest bills. But all of the money that is created out of that surplus goes back into housing to help you the residents. The role of the board is really two main things: working very closely with the executive team and obviously Fiona and all the others, is first of all to set out the strategy. And as Fiona mentioned, I mean, during my time, the strategy has changed, and I think that's really important, that when circumstances change, then the organization will change with it. And we've certainly moved from less of an emphasis on building new homes, which is a very important part of what we do, but we have to concentrate much more on our existing stock at the moment. So there's been a change in strategy, but the next thing that the board needs to do is make sure that that strategy is actually put into effect, that the implementation works, that we hold the executive to account to make sure that it actually happens. And this is something which then comes back, so that all the time we are thinking about the residents. The role of the board is to ensure that the executives are doing the best that we possibly can for all of the residents. A few years ago, we recognized that the resident voice needed to be improved. When I first joined, we did have a resident on the board. We had a short gap when we didn't, and then Fayanne joined us. But we recognized that we needed to reinforce that role, and hence the creation of the resident board itself. And the role of that board is very similar to the main board. It's also to ensure that the services which we are giving are absolutely appropriate, to hold the executive fully to account, and to make sure the resident voice is always there. And I have to say that certainly when I've attended resident boards, I've been very impressed by the quality of the information being processed, the decisions being made. So it really is a hugely valuable tool in what we do. And I'd just like to say that I think, you know, we very much want to carry on. We want to listen to the residents. Residents is what L&Q is all about. This is what we're all here for. So your voice is absolutely essential to us.
I'm Fayanne Simpson, so I'm a group board member. I chair our resident services board, and I'm also a resident at L&Q. So I've been a resident with L&Q for over 20 years now. So in that time, I've seen, you know, many changes, and L&Q has grown over that time, and I've seen, you know, the resident base change and develop. So I've been involved as a resident for almost as long, over 20 years, and you know, I initially got involved firstly out of curiosity, and then wanting to see how I could improve things. And I think, you know, my reason for still being involved now, being on the group board, being the senior independent director, is about that improvement for residents. I really am passionate about that involvement and hearing from residents, because I think it just makes everything better. So I think you know, the way we engage with residents is changing and evolving. As the organisation is changing and evolving, then we have to strengthen that resident voice. We've talked about some of those things. We can see the wider environment is really, really challenging for residents. I think it's really, you know, hitting a broad range of residents in many different ways, and we've got to keep listening and listening better. And we provide, you know, a wide range of ways to be involved. So I chair our resident services board, which is made up of 9 residents and 1 group board member. But we have, you know, many other ways. So we've got our regional committees, we've got a neighbourhood champion, our leaseholder forum, our LGBT forum, and all of those things impact. We also have an online panel of residents that comprises of nearly 4,000 residents, and each of those things draws into that wide insight we have. And even if residents aren't involved, you know, when you pick up the phone to call, when you contact us online, all of that draws draws a picture of the organisation, the services you're providing. And we you know, as was said, you know, there's things that we've got to do to improve, but we're on that path of improvement. But that only gets better with residents, and I'm really so grateful for you all taking the time to be with us and really here. And this is just a part of the conversation. So so there will be more events like this, either in person or virtually, because I think you know, it's an ongoing conversation, and we want you to feel that. So as we go through, we're going to look at the areas that really touch residents the most by talking to, you know, the most senior officers in the organisation.